We do constituency presentation, we do sectoral, we do a whole heap of something when the Pickney them are dead off. And I'm tired.
Bless up my people. Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Anissa Bell Rose. Thanks to all the new subscribers. Thanks to the returning subscribers. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notification bell on. Put it on all so you won't miss an upload from me. On the road to 20k, help me to get there, my people. As y'all know, Jamaica has been plagued with this high level of crime and violence. The killings get rampant, getting more and more as the day goes by. 30 in a week, 30 odd, 40 odd in a week. And of this latest killing, a triple murder in Salt Spring, my people, where 2 little young boys amongst a big man was murdered in a taxi, the boys them going home. And everyone has condemned this killing of these 2 little beautiful little boys. And it begs to question, what are the plans as it pertains to this high level of crime and violence? The children are not safe. Women are not safe. It's alleged to be of gang violence, gang feud. High-powered weapons used, and these 2 little boys in the taxi was unalive. Listen to this clip where the mother found out. How much more of our mothers are gonna cry before something is put in place to curtail this crime and violence? How much more children must go by the wayside? How much more children, how much more women must lose their lives before something is done? And as I say, my people, the whole Jamaica and the diaspora condemn this gruesome killing of these 2 little boys. It is said that the target was the man that was unalive in this triple murder. And some want to take a listen to what the parliamentarians have said as it pertains to this gruesome act. So you will hear from the Prime Minister Andrew Holness, as well as Lisa Hanna and the opposition leader Mark Golding.
Declare and reinforce that our nation does not stand for this. It doesn't reflect us. I know that there can be some frustration because it has happened before. This would be the 2nd time this year that I would have called upon the Parliament to make a statement. In this one in particular, Madam Speaker, it has arisen from a gang feud. The people who are responsible are gang members. And they have used high-powered weapons indiscriminately in a public space with what can only be assumed to be the intention to create fear and panic in the country, to create outside of the locality of the event a national fear. In my opinion, Madam Speaker, it is the equivalent of a terrorist act. And these criminals ought to be described and treated in that form. The government action cannot be ambivalent or equivocal in this matter. There are before us amendments to legislation which will increase the penalties for such criminal terrorists, including increasing the penalty for murder. I urge the House to pass these amendments forthwith before the year is out.
Madam Speaker, I think as two mothers, this is an extremely important issue. Yeah. And I appreciate your indulgence. I think when the Prime Minister saw my face when he was making the statement, he realized I was frustrated. And I think all of us are frustrated in here because it feels like an echo chamber at this point, because we come here so often to decry, bemoan, and pay condolences to victims of violent crimes. But the situation is even more dire. I mean, there was about 3 weeks ago, during the week, 32 Jamaicans were murdered. And if you look at the international benchmark of what a civil war is, it is 30 per 100,000.
Member, you're now venturing into other areas.
No, Madam Speaker, I'm not. The reason why I mentioned that, and it is really 52, we're at 52 murders per 100,000 in Jamaica. Prime Minister, the reason why I mention it is this. We often come to Parliament to talk about laws, Bail Act, Firearms Act. And Madam Speaker, the reason why I mention the statistics, and if the Minister of Information, I believe, would allow the Speaker to hear, there is a real form of post-traumatic stress disorder that our children are facing in this country. And psychiatrists will tell you that if children are exposed to enough trauma, they develop psychoses, they develop paranoia, they develop mental illnesses where they get hallucinations and delusions. And sometimes those become permanent in their early 20s. I raise it because we never seem to tackle the real elephant in the room, which is that many of our children, first of all, are devoid from making moral decisions because they're not taught how to make decisions, and they grow up with a particular element of how to deal with conflict. If you have a young man, Prime Minister, or beating another one over his shoes, nearly unconscious, you realize at the point we're at. I grieve for this country. All of us do. Because even though we have and we believe that we are safe, we could be in a situation where a gunshot is fired and we get caught in the crossfire. Buju Banton have a song where it says, "Step up," and it is, solid composure, youth, your head can't sick. Woman and Pickney still off limits. That no longer exists in Jamaica. Everybody going to get mowed down. Once they feel that you've done something to them, we are at a mental illness crossroads in this country. Never before am I witnessing the kinds of crimes, violent crimes, sick crimes, contract killings. It is almost a den of destruction that we're living in. And so, Prime Minister, every time a child is killed, are we going to come here? I've said before, you have a committee, you have a commission that is looking at some of the socioeconomic, sociocultural, mental health issues. It has Dr. Maureen Sams-Vaughan, Dr. Herbert Gale. It is a bipartisan commission. You've established it. The committee needs to hurry up with its work. There are preventative measures that need to be put in place. And I'm asking you, I don't want to come back here. If it means, and I've said before, Madam Speaker, can we all even have a joint, can we come to Parliament for one day as parliamentarians and try and sift through all of the different elements that we must do? Let us show the country once and for all that we mean business. Let us take a 2-day retreat. We'll do constituency presentation, we'll do sectoral, we'll do a whole heap of something when the Pickney them are dead off. And I'm tired. The Prime Minister is tired. The whole of we, you're tired. But we still come and we do it. So, Madam Speaker, that commission needs to come to Parliament and present. I know the Prime Minister implemented it. I want to see what recommendations they have. That commission has actually said, Dr. Herbert Gale says it's going to take 15 years, a generation to change it. A whole generation, but we have to start. Or you're going to have more children's throats being slashed and people doing all kinds of things. So the three questions, Madam Speaker, and thank you for your indulgence and for your latitude. When will that commission complete its deliberation? Can the Parliament come together as a bipartisan room to sift through those urgent pieces of legislation that we must get going? And three, and I know there are committees that do it, but I think we can fast track some things in the urgency. And Prime Minister, three, what can we do as a Parliament to demonstrate to the people that we serve that we really mean business in terms of people who kill? Because up in Top House Hall in Clarendon, you know, them kill an 82-year-old man and chop him up. 82 on Sunday.
Jamaica is once again reeling from the news of yet another multiple killing. This time, 3 persons shot in a taxi, including 2 9-year-old schoolboys returning home from Chetwood Memorial Primary School, traveling in the Salt Spring area of St. James. Our hearts go out to the families of Justin Perry and Nakalev Smith, the 2 young boys whose lives were taken from them in this dastardly way. This is not the time to be seeking to score political points. We must come together as a nation and find a solution to this problem of violent crime that has been a scourge on our nation for so long. I call on the government to return to the Crime Monitoring and Oversight Committee, that bipartisan arrangement which was set up in 2019 so that all stakeholders can together brainstorm and come up with solutions to the problem of violent crime in Jamaica. For nearly a year or so, the government has not been involved in those discussions. It is time to come back to the table so we can work together and see where we can find common ground to find positive solutions that can make a difference. The strategies currently being employed of much higher sentences in the law are not yet bearing fruit. And in the meantime, we must be able to find solutions within the confines of the Constitution that can make a positive difference for our people. We must respect the hard-won rights and freedoms that are protected in our Constitution, while at the same time devising effective strategies that can tackle this issue that is plaguing our land. I am ready and willing to work with the government towards positive change in this area. I am sure that if we come together, we can find common ground, effective solutions that can make a difference for this generation and generations to come in the best interest of Jamaica. Let us approach this issue from that standpoint, because this is not the time to play politics with people's lives.
And my people, after all that was said in Parliament yesterday, today the Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced that a state of emergency has been imposed in St. James. And it follows an increase in the gang violence, including Monday shooting of the 3 persons, including the 2 schoolboys. And he quoted that we will not resile in the face of terror. He also spoke out at a post-cabinet press briefing, and I want to listen to the message where him have for these criminals.
On the penalty for murder has evolved. I was never a supporter of the death penalty. But the more I study this matter and begin to understand the minds of the criminals, there are no souls there. They have no heart. They need to be removed from among us. But I'm not here to get into a debate about the jurisprudence on this matter. But within the limits of that jurisprudence, I believe the highest penalty possible should be applied. And currently, the penalties now are not a deterrent. And there is an argument being put forward that somehow, if we increase the penalties, we will have overcrowding in our prisons, or people will not plead guilty and seek to use weaknesses in cases and our security forces to beat the charge, and that somehow there will be a backlog in our courts. There is validity in all of the arguments put forward. But I think those people who carry those arguments should be aware that Jamaica's incarceration rate is the lowest in the region. For a country that has so much crime, our incarceration rates are amongst the lowest. Could there be a correlation there? It needs to be studied.
And I am so tired of saying RIP, especially when it comes on to children. It's very sad. But what are your thoughts? What are your take on all that was said in this video by the lawmakers? What are your take on this state of emergency that was imposed in St. James? What are your take, my people, on the high levels of crime and violence in the country? Drop on an honest opinion in the comment section. Condolences to the family. My heart goes out. Too many of our children have to be getting the shitty end of the stick from adults going around with them whole heap of criminal activities, taking out our children. My goodness. But remember, my people, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Run go over to my other platform, Instagram and Facebook, and follow me over there at Isabel Rose. Check out the YouTube store, make a purchase, it goes in support of the channel. Check out the YouTube membership, you get a lot of benefits by becoming a member. We do notification shout out in each and every video to be a part of that. All you have to do is be the first to like, comment and subscribe, and you'll be featured in the following video to come. This notification shout out goes to Albert Rami. Big up yourself, Albert. Thanks to all of the support from each and every subscriber. New viewers, come on board, journey with me, join the family, subscribe to the channel, share out some of the videos. Stay tuned for more videos. Big up on yourself.